Hi there, this is Wisdom, and I welcome you to today's episode of my book reflections from Dr. Myles Munroe's book, The Principles and Benefits of Change. I believe that the previous episodes have been useful, and if you are new here, I hope that you find this particular reflection useful and you'll refer to the other ones afterwards. Today, our focus is on chapter 13 and it's on the theme charting your course to a preferred future. Charting your course to a preferred future. And it has the sub theme essential features of purposeful change. Now, the chapter begins with the quote: "It takes a lot of courage to release the familiar and seemingly secure, to embrace the new. But there's no real security in what is no longer meaningful. There's more security in the adventurous and exciting. For in movement there is life, and in change there is power." And this is a quote from Alan Cohen, an inspirational author. And the quote gives us a picture of what the chapter really focuses on. And it helps us to understand the need to take a step. And in taking that step, taking steps that are focused on a particular destination, steps that at the end of the day ensure that you are moving, you are making progress, and you are not stagnant in old ways. And that is because, as we have established before, it is difficult to let go of tradition, to let go of things that may have proven useful in the past that may not necessarily be working now. It is difficult to let go of tradition. So it takes a lot of courage, as it says in this quote, to release what you have become familiar with and what you feel secure in, what we call your comfort zone, in order to be able to move to what is new, what you probably have never experienced before. And in being able to do that, it takes a lot of courage. And that courage and that ability to take the needed steps is what we'll be talking about as you chart your way to a preferred future. Now, the chapter begins where Dr. Myles talks about how we need to look at life as a gift. It says that if we approach life fearfully and antagonistically because of the reality of change, because of the fact that we know that things can change at any point in time. You can be here one moment and the next day you have news that you need to move from that particular job. You need to relocate for one reason or the other. You get information that this and this has happened, and it changes a lot about you. The facts of change being a reality can become a source of frustration to many of us. And if it says that if we approach life with this knowledge in a fearful and antagonistic manner, we will hinder our progress. We will hinder our progress. We must think of life as a privilege, not as a plague. It is a blessing to be given life, and we need to handle it thoughtfully and carefully. And I think this is particularly important, how we approach life, the perspective that we have about life. If I consider life as a gift, waking up each morning as a gift, as a privilege, as a blessing, then I will go about my everyday trying to maximize that privilege of life. But if I look at life as a tragedy, if I look at life as a plague, as a heap of troubles upon troubles, then I'll not be able to make any meaningful progress, and I'll not be able to achieve my God-given purpose. So understanding that life is a privilege, it is a gift from God, is an important tool for making progress into your preferred future. And The chapter uses the analogy of flying an aeroplane to help us to see how we can chart our path to a preferred future. And Dr. Myles, under the sub-theme, Your Path to Planned Positive Change, refers to some time when his organization received an aircraft as a donation, as a gift. And in his curiosity while traveling aboard with the pilots, of the plane, he gets to ask a lot of questions and got to know a lot more about how the plane flies. And so there are some key things that he highlights in the chapter that parallels our pursuit of a meaningful life and fulfillment of purpose. And the first key thing in charting your path, your course to a preferred future is to determine your destination. To determine your destination. If you do not know where you are going, as it is said, everywhere, will become like a possible route for you. You will not know exactly which route to go. So knowing your destination is a key thing, the first key thing in charting your course to a preferred future. So the pilot, as it says, does not take off from the airport without a destination in mind. So the first thing a pilot must do may seem obvious, but it is essential. He must determine his destination. So the air traffic control has to know exactly where the pilot is going, exactly where this plane's destination is, in order to be able to help it navigate its way to the destination. So the first key thing, as the pilot of your life, as the one who is supposed to chart that course to a preferred destination, the purpose that God has assigned for you is to know exactly what you are going. So what is your destination in life? And it says that most people go through life without knowing where they want to end up. So people would start a business without knowing what exactly the end goal is. Why have I started this business? Is it to make a profit? And what do I expect to see by this point in time? So if you do not have a goal, if you do not have a certain end goal in mind where you expect that business to be, you will not be able to chart the right course in order to get there. If I do not know where I am heading to, then if there are vehicles that are calling out specific destinations, I'll not know even to be able to get on board them. And if I get onto any of them and I don't know exactly where I'm going, I may be in that vehicle and I may bypass my destination, or may not even get there because that vehicle wasn't destined for that particular destination. So it is important to know where you are going. What is God's purpose for your life? What is your vision for life? What are you determined to achieve in that particular path that you have chosen? So if it is education, what is my end goal for getting into school? If it is a particular business I'm getting to, what is the end goal? And generally with your life, what is the end goal? What is your purpose? What is the destination that you are attempting to reach? So it says that our purposes determine the initiation of change in our lives, which ultimately leads to the fulfillment of those purposes. In other words, you chart your course from the end to the beginning. Where you want to end up determines the path you choose in life, the priorities you set, the practices you nurture, and the daily habits you follow. So if I know the destination, what the end goal is for my work life, then that is what will cause me to wake up even on the days that I don't want to wake up. And that is what will determine the kinds of friends I build and how they influence me as a result. If I know the destination of my spiritual journey as a Christian, as a believer, then I will know what kinds of settings to find myself in, and I'll understand how not to sit amongst a particular group of people, and certain things that I need to do is studying my Bible, praying every day, and all of those things that can help me to that final destination of becoming more and more like Christ. So if I know my destination as the pilot needs to know, then I will know which particular course to take and where to end. And Proverbs chapter 16 the verse 9 says that in his heart a man plans his course, but the Lord determines or directs his steps. So the one who needs to make the plan is you, the man. And Jesus said that which one of you would need to go to war and will not sit down to plan whether or not you have the resources and all of that to go into war. And if you want to set up or put up a building, which one of you will not sit down to calculate the cost and see whether you will be able to accomplish that particular building? If I do not know what the end goal is, I cannot plan. And so planning is based on the fact that you know what you want to do, and it is God who at the end of the day directs our path. And if we do not have a plan and we do not know where we are going, then it will be difficult for us to have God directing this path, because we do not have a plan. So it says that if you don't have a plan, there will be nothing for God to direct you in. So what is your plan? Where are you heading? What is the destination for your life? And specifically, what is the destination for your education? What is the destination for your marriage? What is the destination for your business? Whatever you have set out to do, what is the destination? Where do you expect to see yourself at the end of the day? So these are 4 key questions that you can ask yourself as it points out here. Number 1, do I know where I want to go in life? You need to answer that question. Number 2, do I know the creator inspired desires of my own heart? What God has, placed in my heart, the things that he wants me to pursue. Do I know them? Number 3, what do I want to achieve specifically in education, in marriage, in business, in personal initiatives? What do I want to achieve? And finally, what is my destination in life? What is my end goal? That is important. If you ask all of these questions, then you will be able to begin how you get to describe all of these in specific terms, and that will take you to the next key thing that it talks about in flying the plane: filing your flight plan. So once the pilot knows his or her destination, then he needs to file his flight plan. He needs to let the air control know what his plan is. What route does he intend to use? Because he knows where he's going to. So if I know I am going to destination B, now what is my plan for getting to that destination? So it says, do you have an idea of your destination but lack the specifics of what it will take to arrive there? In other words, have you filed your flight plan yet? So I may know that, yes, at the end of the day, I want to become a very successful psychologist, and educationist who is impacting the world with my God-given abilities and potentials. That is my goal. That is how I want to end up, seeing myself in the future. And so if I know what I want to do, what I want to achieve, but then at the end of the day, there's no plan in getting there, then there will be trouble. Because yes, I know there's war. I know this is what I want to do. I need to put up a building. But if I don't know how many warriors I need to take to that war, I don't know how many materials and what cost it will take to get them, then I wouldn't be able to go to war and win. And I wouldn't also be able to put up that edifice. So what specifically it says will it take to get you from where you are to where you want to go. Map out a detailed route to your preferred future, including everything necessary to get there, the kinds of resources you will need, whether human resource, financial resource, whatever kind of resource you will need in order to get to that destination. So before a commercial plane takes off, airline personnel need to make sure everything about the aircraft is in working order. So there needs to be a plan. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, the verse 10 says that if the axe is dull, more strength is required. But this is the benefit or advantage of wisdom. It helps you to make work easier. And that scripture helps us to understand that if you want to get the work done easier, the wisdom is in sharpening the axe. So if your axe is dull, you know the destination is that I want to cut down that tree, but you will not be able to do it in time or do it well because you have not had a plan for cutting it down, which includes how and when to sharpen the axe. Very important. So have you set a specific course to take you to your dream? What are the resources that are needed? Do you know those specific things? The third key thing that we pick is to monitor your flight path with the tower. So while the plane is airborne, it needs to be in touch with air control. So the air traffic control is monitoring all that is happening around you as a pilot flying that particular plane. So if you do not stay in touch with the air traffic control, then you may end up in a crash because they can see what is happening around you, the other planes that are flying and all the different issues that may be happening within the skies. So once a pilot has determined his destination, filed his flight plan with air control, and been cleared to take off, he can leave the ground and begin the actual flight. But he never loses touch with the tower. The pilot must frequently be in contact with air traffic control to monitor his flight plan. So the air traffic control in your case, in my case, is God the Almighty, who created us, who knew us even before we were born. And in Ephesians chapter 2, the verse 10, it says that we are God's workmanship created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God foreordained that we should walk in them. And even before we were born, God knew us and he had a plan for us. And so once we know our destination, once we have filed our flight plan, the course of action, the routes that we need to take to get to that desired destination or preferred future, we need to stay in constant communication with him through his word, in the place of prayer, and through godly associations who can help us to know exactly what God's thoughts are at every step of the journey. You must make sure to monitor your course by remaining in constant communication with the Creator and continually reassessing your activities according to your original plan. That is very important. How close is your relationship with God, your Creator? Are you staying, it says, in constant communication with your Creator and continually reassessing your life choices according to your purpose? The fourth key is to follow all the instructions that you receive from the tower. So as you are in touch with the air traffic control as the pilot, what is essential is to follow the instructions of the air traffic control of the tower. So Dr. Myles talks about an instance where in flight, it says, one time when we were in flight, I heard the captain say, "Oh no, that didn't sound good." I asked, "What happened?" He said, They want us to pull back. We have to slow down. I said, man, we are late. He said, but the tower says we have to slow down. I repeated, we are going to be late. He said, yeah, but the tower says. So the pilot didn't listen to my opinions about the situation. He listened only to the tower. After about 20 minutes, he told me air traffic control had sent a message saying that he could speed up again. When the plane began to gain speed, we suddenly saw a large commercial airliner whoosh by, and he said, that's why they told me to slow down. We had been in its path. There's a way that may seem right unto a man, but the end, the Bible says, is destruction. And so there may be certain dangers ahead that you cannot see, but because you think the route you are taking and your experience is enough to help you get there, you may end up not listening to the voice of God and the instructions of God for your journey. And this day, you want to remember that God is the one that has set you on course. He's the one that knows your end from your beginning. He's the one that has all the potential. He's the omnipotent God, and he has given you just a deposit of his all-powerful, self. And so if you want to be able to get to that preferred future, chart your course to that preferred destination, don't only be in touch in terms of communication, but listen to the instructions that he gives you in the place of prayer through his word and through the godly counsel of godly men and women that you can have as associates. The final key thing is to stay steady on course unless redirected by the tar. And it says that there are times when everything around us or everything in our own lives seems to be falling apart. Yet if we are listening to our tar, God Almighty, the one who is in charge of air traffic control, if we are listening to our tar, we'll be able to hear God say, keep believing and keep steady. Maybe you've lost your house, but God says, still believe. The very business God told you to start closes its doors, but he keeps saying, stay steady. You lose everything you thought was already yours, but God keeps saying, keep on course. When things change and conditions are chaotic around you, you have to obey the last command God gave you. It may be something you were supposed to do but failed to carry out, and it needs to be set right. So in the course of your journey towards that preferred future, towards fulfilling God's purpose for your life, achieving your goals, achieving your desired, dreams and aspirations, you need to make sure that you are not only in touch with your creator, you are not only listening to his instructions, but you are staying on course unless he himself says that change direction or stop moving. And no matter what is happening, no matter what is happening with you or around you, the troubles, the trials, and all the failures and disappointments, if God says keep going, you need to keep going. You need to keep on track. When God says that I want you to pursue, despite all the evidence around you that may seem to say that you don't have what it takes, you need to pursue because he is on your side and he will always be on your side. So don't be selective in your obedience to God. Once he says that go ahead, keep going. Even in the trouble, if he says that don't stop that business, don't stop that particular education program you have started, don't end this particular relationship, whatever he says you should do, keep at it. And he knows where he's taking you. And it says that God sees the big picture and he knows how to help you avoid the obstacles or storms ahead. So remain steady and keep going unless you are redirected by the tower, God, our creator. So these are the 5 key things that we can pick from how the pilot flies the aeroplane and how that relates to charting your course for a preferred future. And it sums up with the fact that we need to watch our landing. So although flying and staying in flight is important, how you land is really necessary, is really important. So we need to watch our landing. And there are a lot of air crash incidents that are as a result of poor landing or a problem in the way that the pilot landed. So it says that it's been said that more aviation accidents take place during takeoff and landing than whilst planes are in the air. As a concluding parallel to our piloting analogy, therefore, let me encourage you to pay extra attention when you are completing your plan. We talked earlier about making sure you know your destination before you take off. Without a clear goal, you can crash before you really begin, or you can end up way off course. Yet, you can run into trouble just as easily by becoming complacent just before landing. A lot of people have missed out on destiny because they became complacent while things were getting better, while they were on course in that particular academic program, in that particular business, in that particular relationship. And so while it was almost time for them to enjoy the fruit of the journey, complacency sets in, recklessness sets in, and then they end up crashing that relationship, crashing that business, or crashing that particular project that would have led to the fulfillment of purpose. So the decision is ours to make, to know where we are going and take the right course towards that destination. Keep in touch with air traffic control, in this case of our life, God, our creator, through his word and through his still small voice that continues to speak to us in many situations, that this is the way, walk in it. This is not the way, turn away from it. If we are able to stay in touch and take or follow all the instructions given to us and remain steady on course, unless God redirects our path, we'll be able to have a very smooth journey. Despite all the challenges that will come, we'll have a fruitful, fulfilling journey towards our preferred future. And while we are getting closer to that preferred future, remember not to become complacent. If not, you will crash even before you get to the end of the journey. Thank you so much for joining today's lesson and today's reflection from chapter 13 of the book, The Principles and Benefits of Change by Dr. Myles Munroe. I'll see you in the next chapter 14 in another lesson. Thank you. Stay safe. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not, and do well to like the video and share it to others. That is something that I'll appreciate so much. Bye bye.